Well, you have seen more pictures of Governor Cuomo on the ground in Afghanistan in the past 3 months than you have of him on the ground in Albany. Bill Mahoney of the New York Public Interest Research Group is the source of many interesting statistics. And today he tweeted that it has been 103 days since Cuomo has held a public event at the Capitol or the Empire State Plaza. Mahoney says it's the longest streak of his term. The previous mark, according to Mahoney, was 96 days. So why no Cuomo sightings in the past 3+ months? Weighing in now, our state political columnist for the New York Post, our political analyst, Fred Dicker. And Fred, the governor hasn't been around much. Is there any reason to doubt Bill Mahoney from Nightburg?
Not at all. This has been an open secret, Liz, at the Capitol. The governor basically has turned the Capitol and the executive mansion into a mail drop. He doesn't see any reason to be here, and it may be kind of mutual. Keep in mind the numbers that he got in the Democratic primary from the Capital District. He got buried by his fellow Democrats who overwhelmingly voted for Zephyr Teachout. In addition, there's reason to believe that the governor is just not comfortable around the legislative correspondence. He doesn't want to answer questions. That's why he doesn't want to debate. We've talked about that. That's why he doesn't give any in-depth interviews. That's becoming an increasing refrain from a lot of newspaper editorials and other places that want to have a chance to ask the governor a lot of questions. If he was in Albany, he might have to be answerable to the press corps that awaits him there.
Well, certainly his father had a reputation of liking Albany or spending a lot of time here. I mean, he lived in the mansion. Yeah. Right. And so it's kind of interesting that this is a different approach, certainly. Does it hurt Albany not to have him around, do you think?
It hurts Albany a great deal. One thing I would point to is that there's a kind of geographical patronage going on for the governor looking at re-election. You may, I'm sure, be aware, Liz, I'm sure many listeners are, that the governor's been taking major nano center projects with Elaine Calieros, who heads the nano center, and transferring them around the state. He was out in Buffalo 2 weeks ago announcing that the Albany Nano Center now has a Buffalo complex where there are going to be thousands of jobs. So the governor is principally focused on his re-election bid. I don't think he thinks he's going to do all that well in this area. He's out in Buffalo far more than he's at the capital of the state, which, after all, we ought to keep in mind, is the administrative center. Remember, during the legislative session, he would make a big public relations event out of meeting with his commissioners. He would then invite the press in to hear him talk to his commissioners. Well, those commissioners are still heading those state agencies, but we haven't seen him hold a commissioners meeting in at least 3 months, as Bill Mahoney points out.
So are we likely to see much more of him in the area before the election?
Unlikely, in my view. He's going to stay away. He doesn't want to debate in this area. We know that from his announcement on where he says the debates ought to be. So I don't think we're going to see much of him at all, Liz, until after the election. Probably not until January, assuming he's reelected, when the legislative session begins in January.
All right. We'll see if that, in fact, plays out. If you hear anything otherwise, I know you'll tell us. Thank you, Fred.
Sure.
Fred's on the radio, live from the state capitol weekday mornings from 10 to 11 on Talk 1300 AM radio.